Welcome, everyone, to the Dead Pair Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Rambo, and with me, the man that's large and in charge, Sean Alley. What's up, buddy?
I am here, ready to go for episode 6. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a cool episode. We had talked about getting Gebben Miles and Karen Shed back on for an episode, and just so happens we've caught them at a good time, so looking forward to this. This is going to be pretty cool. We're going to get a hold of them here in just a minute.
Yeah, I think they just finished up with the Southeast Regionals. They're probably driving back home.
Yeah, I think Gebben said that's like a 4-day hike for them from Florida to Arizona. So
long drive.
Yeah. Plenty of windshield time to catch up with us. So very thankful they're going to be joining us here in a little bit. How about you, Sean? What have you been up to? I know you didn't shoot any tournaments this weekend, but
no, just kind of winding down. I mean, it's going into the wintertime here. I've just been kind of taking inventory on shells and gear, cleaning the gun, kind of organizing things. I'm going to probably pull my shooting bag apart and reorganize it for next year. There might be a couple small tournaments coming up in January, February, small little 50 bird things at some of the local courses. I may go out and shoot some of them. Just really depends on the weather.
Yeah, you're a fair weather shooter, that's for sure.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not as anxious to go out there and freeze my butt off anymore as the older I get. So if it's decent, I'll go. Right. But if it's blowing and snowing and raining and freezing ice and stuff, nope, I'll just stay home.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
How about you? You doing any practicing or anything new?
Actually, a friend of ours, Mike, and I broke out the throwers there at Mom's yesterday, and I've been having a little bit of a struggle on a true pair that's got a chandelle as a second target. So we set that up and I worked on that yesterday. And then I actually cranked the throwers down at the end of the day and worked on some easy targets because, as you know, at these tournaments, it's not the hard ones that eat your lunch. It's the easy ones that you shouldn't be missing.
Missing. So that is the killer, man. I mean, everybody can walk away from a hard target and saying, okay, that was a tough one. But when you miss that little fluffy chandelle or that little rabbit that's 10 feet away and then you miss it and you're like, oh, how did I miss that?
So I'd try to run 6 or 7 pairs in a row, take a little break, let him shoot, and then vice versa. So, but no, that was pretty good. You mentioned something about stocking up on shells and stuff. Man, they're getting hard to find.
Yeah, no doubt. I got lucky. I bought some shells from our local shooting club, Cardinal. And they're a great place to go if you're going to buy in bulk. They'll help you out. And I would think most people's clubs will do the same thing. So just a note to our listeners, if you're getting into this and you're kind of trying to find good deals on shells, yeah, of course you can go to the normal places, Walmart, sporting goods stores, and so on and so forth. But if you got some buddies to go shoot with you, I strongly urge you to talk to your local shooting clubs because a lot of times they'll do a big bulk order, maybe once or twice a year. Yeah. You get in with them, you share like a skid or half a skid or something. They'll give you some hellacious discounts. I mean, might save $10 or $15 a flat by the time it's all said and done. Yeah, you got to buy a lot more, but if you're going to shoot them anyways, might as well save the money.
Absolutely. And that being said, that kind of gives us an idea there, Sean. Why don't, if anybody listening knows a supplier or you are a supplier or bulk supplier of shells, if you've got some kind of a discount program or some way you can help out, don't be afraid to shoot us an email. Just go to thedeadpair.com, click on the contact button. And as long as it's something that you'd like us to share with our listeners, but we will definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cause I mean, it's weird times right now. I mean, the whole, aside from the COVID thing, let's see. Federal, I think, bought out Remington, right? And I heard that Remington really didn't produce any shells at all this year to speak of.
And Fiocchi bought out B&P.
Right. And then so that kind of threw up because we've experienced it firsthand with the clubs, like having a hard time getting some of those shells in because I think it just kind of screwed up the supply chain overall. Yeah. So a lot of people having trouble finding the shells they want or, even finding shells anywhere. It's just kind of a weird time right now.
Right.
Never seen it like this.
Speaking of going to the website and contacting us, don't forget we are giving away 2 NSCA memberships, full-blown memberships, compliments of breakpoint shooting instruction. As long as you're not a current member and you're not using it for renewal, go to the website, thedeadpair.com, hit the contact button. The 2 rules are simple. You cannot be a current NSCA member, and you have to tell us what you like best about the Dead Pair podcast. We're going to do that drawing here probably right about the first of the year, somewhere in there. We're going to have an in-studio guest. We're going to shake the box up, draw 2 names. You're going to get a full-blown NSCA membership with all the benefits that come with it, as well as a swag pack from breakpoint shooting instructions.
That's
Compliments of Chad Roberts.
Yeah. Thank you, Chad, for doing that for us.
Yes, absolutely. So guys, don't forget about that. And that brings up one more thing. Boy, I'm coming up with all kind of ideas. We want to hear from you. We've had some really good compliments and stuff on Facebook, Instagram. Really, truly appreciate that. People are telling us we're heading in the right direction. Look, we're learning on the job. Okay.
Yeah, so that's right.
Don't be afraid to send us some constructive criticism. If you have an idea for a show or a guest or a topic, something that you guys want to hear about, that's what we're here for. We're trying to help. So Don't be afraid to get a hold of us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we're doing it for you guys. And so, we want to be able to cater to your wants and needs. So if there's something out there you want to talk about, please don't be shy. Just shoot us an email. You'll never know. We might even mention you on the air and say, hey, so-and-so from somewhere told us about this. And that's what we'll do the show about. So don't be surprised if it happens.
Right. Exactly. Well, I just got a text here from Gebben. They're about 10 minutes out. So we'll give them a call here in a minute. Man, looking at the scores of the Southeast Regional, once again, Zach is just tearing it up.
Yeah. I was just pulling that up here. It looks like, he took the high overall in the main event with a total of 190, shot a 94 on the blue course and a 96 on the orange course.
Wow.
And then right behind him, Braxton Oliver with a 186. He shot a 90 and then a 96. And then third place was Ryan Harper with a 185. And then from there, it's a lot of close scores, a lot of 184s, 183s, 182s, 181s. I mean, it's just amazing. One or two birds, man. That's the difference between being a champion and not. And it's tight competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had that talent and ability. I mean,
that's a lot of focus.
But listen, we talk about practice. We talk about shells. These guys have put in years and years and years. They've burned more shotgun shells and seen more missed targets than we'll ever see in our lives.
Yep.
So they've put their work in to get to where they're at. A part of me wishes I had never ventured into all the other avenues of racing and stuff like that I did early in life and just stuck with it, because who knows where we'd be.
Oh yeah. If we would have stayed focused on it, good gracious, you never know what we would have done.
Right.
We might've been right up there with them. Maybe,
maybe. Yeah. You'd like to think so. Anyway.
You'd like to think so. Hey, you'd like to think about winning the lottery too. But,
right.
Doesn't often happen.
Right. I guess that's like saying if we would have stuck with the gym out of high school, we'd all be pro athletes right now. Right?
Sure.
So,
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
But, well, hey, listen, let's get on to Gebben Miles and Karen's shed. They're waiting on us to call. This is going to be a great interview. These two are a wealth of information. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. All right, Sean. Well, we were able to catch up here with Gebben and Karen. Gebben, Karen, welcome. How you all doing?
We're doing really good. How are you guys?
Great.
We're doing great.
Doing great.
You guys are just leaving the Southeast Regional. I was looking at scores. It looked like Zach pulled one out on you guys again.
Yeah, Zach shot really, really well. He had two incredible weekends in a row. And, we are actually currently driving across Florida, or up Florida right now. We left about midday today. And you've caught us on the road, so we're fresh off that Southeast Regional, and it was a phenomenal shoot. I absolutely love South Florida Shooting Club, and they had it in tip-top shape for us to compete on this week.
I saw some of the pictures online. They look beautiful.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
So you guys just finished up the Southeast Regional. What's next for the two of you heading into the holiday season? You guys going to take some time off, or are you going to keep after it, or?
So what we've been planning on doing, we've been talking about it a little bit, because it's been so packed together and fun, but like exhausting, we decided to just take a couple weeks off of our shooting, but we'll just take 2 weeks, and then we'll get back at work and hit it hard and practice on stuff that we've been struggling not struggling, but things that we know we need to work on for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I think some time off after this, like Karen said, this like packed in season. They threw all the shoots together in 4 months, and these 4 months have been so much fun, but grueling. And we've been on the road kind of the whole time. Our rig has been on the road the whole time. We've flown back and forth from Arizona to wherever our rig is, and then we'll drive it to the next place. And now we're heading back across country, and it's pretty awesome. To kind of think about some of the successes that we've both had this year, especially with Karen having such kind of new levels of success. This last week she won the ladies main event championship, and it's just awesome to watch Karen progress so much over this year. And then this year was kind of like a comeback year in some ways for me after taking a year off and just really learning how to compete again, I guess, and compete at the highest level. And I know both of us, especially after yesterday, we both know that we can improve, and we're going to work really hard in a couple weeks starting to improve. But then also to further answer your question about what we're going to do in this little off season, before the tournaments start, I'm also going to be working on building quite a few more videos for my subscription site. And I've got a friend who's a really talented video guy that hasn't ever done anything with shooting videos, but he's done a lot with some other sports, and he's got some incredible equipment. So we're going to work on producing some better content for the shooting community.
That's awesome. I guess we kind of skipped over that, Karen. By the way, congratulations. That's awesome. Finished ladies first.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, you guys, I got a question for you. So I know it's wintertime. Now, here in the north, it's really hard for people in our area to get outside and do practicing. I mean, you can do it, but you got to find the right days. Obviously, being in Arizona, you've got to have a little more opportunity to get out. What kind of things do you do, or what kind of specific things do you work on in the wintertime in the off season to help prepare you for the next season and to better your game?
Yeah, so after your time off, usually you're going to be a little bit rusty. So I'll definitely work on gun mounts at home. And it's, if you live in a place that gets cold, and it certainly can get cold in Arizona, but you're right, we have definitely more opportunity in the winter to practice and keep the rust off. But doing gun mounts at home and really making sure that the end of your barrel is steady, it's stable, and that your hands are kind of moving in unison. And I'll do those in like super slow motion sometimes, where I'll go as slow as I can, mount the gun from a VTAS position into my shoulder, and visualize making a good move. I do that kind of stuff all the time. But then I get into a lot of like skill building exercises as far as working on specific targets and maybe working on those at different distances. I'll take a certain target or maybe a presentation of targets, and I'll start off at a distance in my comfort zone, maybe about 30, 35 yards, and then break that target or that pair, say 4 times in a row, and then continue to move back 5 yards until it's out of my comfort zone, and really keep kind of pushing that envelope and trying to work on targets that I know are going to be challenging. And if a 40, 50 yard target can be in your comfort zone, when you get to a shoot, you're going to be able to to not let anything intimidate you. And so those are the things that I work on. And there's some other things as well. I mean, shoot, like, there's probably, I've done probably hundreds of different drills that I've made up over the years, and drills that I've learned from my coach, Steve Schultz, and some other people as well. But yeah, Karen, do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I think this year is really the first year that I've ever with Gebben. Gebben taught me so many different drills to do that I'd never done before. So this year is kind of my first off season that I will go into having different drills to do. Like Gebben said, working on your mount. One thing for me, if I have to stay inside, we've done a little bit of work on balance boards and working on your posture and your balance, and trying not to press and just have solid gun movement the whole time while you're mounting the gun, and then staying on that balance board. So I think that's going to be really big for me. And then like Gebben said, some of the drills that being in your comfort zone. That was really key for me earlier in the year. Probably around March, we started working on that drill. That was when I was introduced to it. And for me, bigger targets are more comfortable for me than the closer ones. So I think that drill was really key for that.
Wow, I'm very interested in that. I've never even thought about being on a balance board like that before as part of your training. No, I'm serious. That's very intriguing to me.
That's definitely unique.
Yeah, we've got a couple videos on our subscription about the balance board, and it's something that I picked up from a friend who is actually an Olympic decathlete, and he came out to practice with me, and he's like, I feel like you should really challenge yourself a bit more and shoot on an unstable platform for one thing, but also maybe challenge yourself by not always starting off on like easier targets, but going into some harder targets at the beginning of your rounds and whatnot. But anyway, he taught me a lot of different things that he does training for the decathlon, and so one of those things specifically was balance, and just to stand on a balance board, let alone do gun mounts, is a challenge. And when your neuromuscular system can learn how to respond to an unstable platform, especially while you're doing your athletic movement, whether it's moving a shotgun or swinging a golf club or shooting a basketball or whatever it is, if you can do it on a balance board, it's really easy when you get off and do it on a stable platform. And so, that's one of the things that I've been doing since midway through 2011, and I definitely attribute that to some of my success, among a lot of other things. But yeah, like Karen said, being on the balance board for her showed her all of her little flaws with her stance and her posture. And if you can shoot with that balance board being perfectly stable, you've got really, really good posture, and you're probably going to hit more targets.
Well, yeah, that's a good point you bring up, because now that I'm thinking about it, it's interesting because some of the different courses that we go to, many of them have different stands or locations where you shoot from. Some of the nicer ones have like their own built shoot houses with a nice wooden floor or a concrete floor. But then you go to some of the smaller clubs and they may just have a little gravel, pile there that you stand on, or maybe it's just dirt and it's kind of beaten down, and it might be on the side of a hillside. So you're kind of shooting off balance a little bit in that regard. I guess that would be good practice just to kind of get your balance built up.
Yeah, for sure. Like earlier in the year, I realized that I had a problem of I would press at the end of my shot, whether it was pressure or, there's just a bunch of different factors that can go into it, but I was pressing. So Evan's like, well, let's try this balance board. I used to do it all the time. And obviously he hadn't done it for like a year because he was in Australia. But, so I ordered a balance board, and beginning, like if I was just in my living room one day, I would just get on the balance board and just work on staying balanced on it. Like whether I was watching TV or hanging out with my family, just small little things. And then we incorporated like my gun mounts into it. And then we even got to the point where we were shooting targets off of the balance board. And like Evan said, on his subscription site, we did a couple videos about the balance board and how beneficial it is. And once you get off of that balance board, you just feel so steady and firm on the ground, and it takes away that press. So for me, it was really big to keep that good posture and good balance.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
Karen, you're going to make my wife mad, me spending more money on these videos. So when you guys get finished up with the off season, what's going to be your first tournament, or what are you looking forward to start the season in 2021?
Yeah, we haven't fully decided that yet. The first real big one will probably be the Gator Cup, but there's some shoots in Arizona before that. But just coming out from Florida, there's a lot of people that we even talked to this morning when we picked up our trailer that were like, hey, when are you coming back? You going to come back for the Krieghoff Cup? And the whole Florida swing. So to be honest with you, we're undecided, because there's shoots in Arizona, and we love to take advantage of staying home and being with family and getting that downtime. But at the same token, I think we're both, even though the season has just ended, we're both kind of eager to get back into it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for now, the first real big one would probably be the Gator Cup.
Yeah, well, I'm planning on going down to the Gator Cup myself. I've never been. Was able to go down to Quail Creek this year for the first time around Father's Day. I know that's a beautiful course. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Gator Cup in February. Hopefully, maybe I can run into you guys down there or talk a little bit more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, question for both of you, whoever wants to answer. Tell me a little bit more about your new training facility. I know we touched on that when I ran into you guys at the Florida State shoot, but it sounds really intriguing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah. So the Tucson Trap and Skeet Club is where my dad is, and it's a club that's really big. It's held the U.S. Open before, and then so we train mostly there, but then also we have a private place at Karen's house, actually, which is about an hour north of Tucson, in between Tucson and Phoenix. And right now, she's got 9 machines, but she's got 2 more on the way. So we're going to have
Nice.
11 of her machines, and then Laporte, which is my machine sponsor. I'll get some machines, hopefully after the first of the year, and then we'll be able to have quite a few machines on her facility right there, and that's a great place for us to set up whatever we need to set up. And then Tucson Trap and Skeet actually has some plans to expand as well, and to potentially turn part of it into more of a private facility, which would give us an opportunity to also have like a more of a private area at a place that has a lot of shooters for most of the year. That gun club attracts a lot of people in the wintertime, usually from like October through March or April. This year, because of COVID, people stayed a bit longer into May, but there's a lot of shooters that actually live at Tucson Trap and Skeet because they have 250 RV spaces, and a lot of those RV spaces have like a permanent I don't know, like a living space on it, so there's a lot of people that stay there, and yeah, so that's kind of the different options that we have in Arizona.
Well, what is something that you're trying to offer in your facility that another club doesn't have, or maybe in your training that another club is lacking or another instructor is lacking? What is it that you guys are trying to do above and beyond?
Well, I think, I don't know if like everything we do with excellence, and everything that we do, I've always been a student of the game, and I'm always trying to learn more and always trying to get better. And really to have a very solid foundation as far as bringing information into a student and creating the most solid foundation that you can. Like, you can never outgrow the basics, like the basics of stance, the basics of posture, the basics of gun mount, perfecting all those things and really perfecting where you want to break the targets, like how you're going to set up for them, and then how to look at a target hard, and really perfect those basics. I mean, that's one thing that I that I pride myself on is having as good of mechanics as possible, and that's something that Karen has been so blessed with, I guess, is she started off working with my dad for a couple of years, and she's only been at this 3 years. So she worked with my dad for 2 years and had a pretty solid foundation, and then worked with me, just kind of continuing to fine tune her her fundamentals has caused her to have all this success this year. And so, those are some of the things that I think I've really been gifted in, is being able to help people really perfect their fundamentals, and then also their thought process as well. I mean, being able to really have a confident mindset and believe in what you're doing. You're going to be really consistent. So if you know exactly what you're doing and you believe in what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, then you're going to be able to make a confident shot. And so those are the things that I really pride myself in. And then as far as a facility goes, I mean, at Tucson, they've got, I think, 5 courses set up all the time. They've got 8 FTAS parkours set up all the time, which is amazing. And then 2 5 stands. And then, if you want to train on trap and skeet, they've got like 50 American trap fields, 14 skeet fields. But then something that I'm hopefully working with them on, actually having a really cool private training facility that I'm designing for them, and that's in the works. It's we haven't even started construction on that, but they're looking to kind of expand their property a little bit, and then on that new piece, if they get it, will be hopefully this new private area that's going to hopefully also be able to bring in some technology from the golf industry into shooting, as far as like the TrackMan system and different things that can really track what you're doing mechanically on video and have instant feedback.
Wow.
And so anyway, there's some things that we're working on that are pretty awesome. But if you're going to be great at whatever you're doing, doesn't matter what sport it is or what job you're in, you've always got to perfect the basics, and you can never get beyond the basics. Whenever I lose my fundamentals just slightly, I'm probably going to miss a target here or a target there. And that's one thing that, coming back after taking a year off, Karen, I mean, probably reminds me almost every single round of something fundamental, and it's so important. We can never outgrow the basics.
And one thing that I'd like to add to that is, Gebben's been shooting for an extremely long time, right? And you would think that someone who's had his success would kind of be like at the point of, okay, well, what else can I learn? But there might not be something super drastic to change. But as an athlete, whether you're a shooter or whether you play any other sport, the biggest thing is to have an open mind. Like, if you don't go into the sport or into the round or whatever it might be without an open mind, and saying maybe you already know it all, or that's not the case. There will always be something that you can improve in and that you can learn. Gebben's been doing this for 20 some years. And like you said, just small little reminders of fundamentals are extremely key.
that's
Yeah,
a
especially
great
for
point.
me too. I've only been doing this for 3 years, so the fundamentals are extremely fresh still, and they'll be fresh for, I assume, for a very long time as well. But it's just small reminders, but you have to go into it with an open mind.
Yeah, and,
absolutely.
We just watched the movie Creed 2 the other night, and in that movie, Creed.
Don't spoil it for me, Gebben. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't mean to spoil it for everybody, but there's a really important learning point in that movie where he thinks he can do it all on his own, right? And once he had some success, he doesn't think that he needs Rocky to help him, right? And so then he goes into this next fight where he's thinking that, hey, I've got this, and
I'm already the world champ.
Yeah,
no one can really help me get better than I am because I already am at the top.
Exactly. And so for me, I can relate with that, because after you have success, if you think that you don't need to continue to work hard, then you're not going to reach that that pinnacle again. And so, you're going to get out of this game what you put into it. And sometimes it is hard to find that drive and determination that you had when you were working really hard and you get to a certain level. But also, this year I've had more drive than I have had in a long time, and I've worked really hard, and I haven't quite had the success that I know I'm capable of. But I know it's going to pay off at some point in the future, and I just got to keep believing in that, and I just got to keep working hard. And so, I think to a company never outgrowing the basics, you've always got to work hard too.
Right.
You can't rest on your laurels. And so that's one thing that I was really proud of hearing Karen talk today is even though she finished the year with a win, she's not satisfied. She wants to beat the guys, not just the girls. And Desi Edmonds heard her say that a couple weeks ago, and she's like, Karen, never lose that mindset, girl. Never lose that mindset.
Yeah,
that's excellent advice.
She came close to you this weekend, one bird away. You better be careful, Gebben. The student's going to become the teacher.
I've already planned for that. She's one of the best talents that I've ever worked with. I'd say two of the top people that I've ever worked with are Karen Shedd and Trevor Jensen, and both of those shooters are incredible, and they've both beat me, and could both teach me a lot on any given day. And so it's just really cool to see people that you've invested so much time into having success. And I think Karen's going to have a lot of success next year, and hopefully Trevor will as well. We're looking forward to getting some training together this off season also, and trying to get everything back on track with his game, and hopefully the three of us can go into next year and shoot really well.
Well, with that said, and going back to you coaching and teaching other people, is there a specific target that you're looking for as far as a student, like an experience level? Do you take a new shooter in that's never shot before? Or are you looking more for a intermediate or an advanced shooter? I mean, what kind of shooters are you looking to teach?
I mean, I coach anybody and everybody. I mean, it's definitely a joy to work with somebody like Karen or like Trevor, but I also really love working with a brand new shooter and who's maybe even never shot before, and everywhere in between. I mean, I just enjoy transferring my knowledge into other people, and every single student takes a slightly different approach as far as I obviously can't teach like a brand new shooter the same things I'm teaching a Karen Shedd, but and that's things that I've learned over the years. But I love coaching people at every single level of experience, and so and Karen's gotten into coaching quite a bit this year as well, and she's coached everybody from an extreme novice to me. So she's getting her feet wet with coaching as well, and it's pretty awesome to see her be able to teach people the things that she's been taught and the things that she's learning on her own as well.
That's fantastic. So, one of the things we're doing here with the Dead Pair is we're really trying to get the information out to new shooters or beginning shooters or intermediate shooters that are maybe thinking about taking that next step, going into competition and possibly competing, with the NSCA. So I'd like to know both of your opinions. What can we do, or what do you think we should be doing to help introduce more shooters into sporting clays, and what can we do to drag more people into the sport and get them excited about coming out and trying sporting clays?
I think one of the biggest things is you introduce people into shooting sporting clays, but if you can get them to break targets, just break a couple, they're gonna be like, oh man, I want to come back out again.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Right? But if they're struggling a little bit, or it's just kind of the knowledge of the game. If they don't really know what they're doing, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to be more introduced and be more excited to come out and shoot. So if we can just like Gebben said, I've been coaching just a little bit, and I've coached brand new shooters, like the first time they ever pull the trigger of a shotgun. And like once they hit their first target, we help them to hit their first target, like they're hooked and like, man, we want to come back out. We're going to come back out another time. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is just to make sporting clays just help the new shooters, get them to hit targets in the first time they go out and shoot, and then that interest will be sparked and they'll just want to come out and shoot more and more.
Yeah, I can see that.
The gun range can be a very intimidating place for a brand new shooter, right? And so I think there needs to be some type of I don't know what the word is specifically, but some type of way that gun clubs are educated on how to provide an experience that's non-threatening, that's very, very welcoming. Like when a brand new shooter comes to a gun club, they need to feel welcomed, right? And they need to feel like they're, they can be a part of this. And I think that's one of the
Absolutely.
Things that has held the shooting sports back is there's been a lot of non-welcoming gun clubs, and a lot of these good old boy gun clubs that don't really want their club to grow. But if the sport is going to grow, and if it's, if the top shooters are going to, really make a living at this game one day by shooting and not just coaching, I really think that we need to create inviting environments, and the gun club needs to be more of a family-friendly place where people will want to bring their kids and have solid education from the very first time that they step onto the club. And you've got to do it in a way that they feel at home, that they feel welcomed, and they want to come back. And so having them break targets is really, really important. But even before that, I think as soon as they step foot onto that property, they need to feel like they're invited to be there. And so,
I couldn't agree more.
I don't know exactly how to go about that, but I think some type of kind of universalized information where we help, like the NSCA somehow needs to help gun clubs create that environment, create that atmosphere.
Well,
so
it's funny because, we started shooting about the same time Karen did. Now I've been a shooter most of my life, grew up hunting and stuff like that. And we used to go around and mess around on the weekends and do sporting clays. We just go out as a bunch of buddies and, as a weekend event, just to kind of get away and do something fun. And the reason we got into registered shooting was the year of 2017, the NSCA was giving away a free membership if you weren't a registered shooter. And we all kind of thought about it. And then we finally decided, yeah, let's go for it. And ever since then we've been hooked. So that definitely got us in the door. And now that we compete, we look at it as, hey, that's something to chase, something to make yourself better. It gives you a reason to practice. It gives you a reason to try to move up through the ranks and through the classes. Right. And that really, I think, was the key for me anyways, to keep pushing myself to get better and better.
Well, and that was kind of the idea, for the giveaway that we're doing right now.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but we're giving away 2 memberships to the NSCA, full 1-year memberships.
Nice.
But, and that's kind of our way. And, Chad Roberts was gracious enough to help us with that. Kind of our way of giving back. And, Gebben, you might have just answered this next question, but Karen, I had a question for you. And I know I've seen online you work with a lot of lady shooters and with a lot of youth shooters. The question I had for you was, what do you see as something that holds them back at first, and how can we overcome that to let them know that they can be just as successful as the next person?
Right. Yeah. It's just more. I've come in across like a couple of different scenarios. A couple women don't want to shoot just maybe because they're intimidated. Whether it's by the other women or by the clubs, or even by the men, just kind of going through some rough scenarios. That's through the women's part. The youth, I think a lot of them want to get in, but they just don't necessarily know that they want to shoot sporting clays. They might want to shoot. A lot of them are like the SCTP, 4-H kind of shooting, and they want to shoot trap and skeet. All of the above. Yeah, so I think that for the youth shooting is probably really big. Yeah, I've coached a couple women, and when you get them to shoot targets, but then get them to be confident in themselves, I think is really big. You to shoot. I've coached a couple that are extremely timid in the beginning and kind of don't necessarily know if they want to be shooting, but if you can make the experience fun for them, because that's the most important thing, is to go out there and have fun. I mean, we're given an opportunity to be able to shoot guns at targets, how awesome is that?
Right. Absolutely.
But so if you can get them to just enjoy the experience and then spark that interest of okay, this is so much fun, I want to learn more.
Yeah.
And that's been more of my experience with the youth and with the women that I've coached, is just getting them to have fun, get them to be curious, and then just go from there.
I think the big thing that kind of makes that happen is all of us collectively as the shooting community, we need to be more encouraging to those beginning shooters. If we could speak encouragement into a brand new shooter, and kind of paint a picture for them, like you said, tell them that they can be just as good as they want to be, and a prime example of that is when I first started. I mean, my very first round of sporting clays, I was 11 years old, and I hit 12 out of 100. I hit 12 clays out of 100, and people who have only known me, the last, I guess any time after that wouldn't really know that I started there, right? Especially if you've only known me as a world champion or national champion or whatever. But yeah, if people can know that, hey, a world champion started off hitting 12 targets, you can be as good as, if you've hit anything more than 12 your first time, you're already a step ahead of someone who's a world champion.
Yeah, that's a powerful statement.
Gebben, with your now offering all these great online videos that you're doing, and given the fact that we're battling a virus right now, do you see more of an interest in that because of, maybe they're intimidated about going out and taking a lesson right in the middle of all this quote unquote social distancing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely seeing more of an interest for sure. And, the thing is, I think right when the pandemic hit, for the first month or two, everybody flooded on the internet. And I did a few free things where it was some free online lessons, and that was really cool. And I got so many people on those free lessons, which is really awesome. And I think right now, anyway, people are just a little worn out from being in front of their computer. And so I've actually seen in-person lessons really pick up the last 2 or 3 months, which is kind of cool. But yeah, as far as the online stuff goes, I mean, I don't think that's ever going away. I think it's only going to get bigger, and so if we can, I think, really learn how to just continue to grow in how we present shooting on video, and how we teach on video, and just the more that we do it, the better we're going to get at it, and the better, the more that we share the information, the better the information is going to get.
Right.
And I really think that shooting has grown so much as far as the quality of information in the last few years. I mean, kids now are starting off learning things that it took me 5 or 10 years to learn,
right.
In this game. And Karen and I stayed at Zach Kienbaum and Desi's house right before the Florida State shoot, and Zach was telling us that he took, I think it was either 3 years or 5 years off. I think it was 3 years off working in the farming industry, and he said that when he got back into the game, like, he was still shooting the same scores, but everybody else had gotten so much better. And like, the years that he told me that he had got out of the game and then got back in it, like, those are the years that I was actually putting in so much work into my game. And I remember, like, I improved so very much those 3 years that he was out, and everybody else was working on their game too. But right. Since then, like, the information has gotten so much better, and coaching has gotten so much better, and we need to continue to do that, and using online resources and using the new technology that we have, with the new phones and the new video equipment and stuff. Like, I really think that that type of learning, or that way of learning, is definitely going to escalate as time goes on.
Yeah, I think there's no replacing being with an actual coach, because you can't see what the student's doing right or wrong. But that being said, with the pandemic that we do have in front of us, I think it's awesome what you're doing. At least a guy can go out and try to implement what he's learned off your videos, and I think it's awesome. I think it's great what you've done.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I got a question for both of you guys, if you don't mind. So, and this is going to be very broad, and I'm not trying to, dial it into a specific answer, but if you could just think for a second, as a beginning shooter or as a novice shooter, what are some of the most common mistakes or maybe bad habits that you see that you have to correct with a new shooter, like from the get-go? I mean, is it their stance? Is it their form? Is it holding the gun? Is it how they're sighting the gun? I mean, I know there's so many things you could pick on right here, but is there a couple of them that are just kind of stand out above the rest?
Yeah, like you said, there's a whole bunch. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can coach people, and there's so many different shooting techniques and natural positions that you have, and everyone's different, right? No one's going to be the same.
Sure.
But probably some of the biggest ones are your feet position, your posture, your balance, and like pressure. A lot of people want to put too much pressure on their front foot because they're trying to be aggressive, right? And that's what a lot of people teach. But what that does is that just kind of closes a bunch of, it makes it harder to see the target. It makes the gun do some dip and everything like that. So that's probably one of the bigger ones. A lot of people have way too much cheek pressure, and they just try to see flat down their gun. And what that does, that takes away from a lot of their vision too. So we try to get people to just look at the target and the target only. People want to measure and everything like that. So we just got to try to get them to trust looking at the target, trust your hand-eye coordination, because if you look at the target, you can hit it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Karen hit it right on. I'd say probably the most common mistake that I see is way too much weight on the front foot, and that was taught to me at a very early age. Lean forward, put all your weight on your front foot. But what that does is if you're not in balance and you've got more weight on your front foot than your back foot, you'll just start building tension all the way from the ground up, and your hands will get way too fast. And so, in order to hit targets consistently, your hands have to match the speed of the target. And if you've got too much weight in that front foot, your hands are going to be too fast. And so I would say that's a really, really big thing, especially for not just new shooters, but people who've been shooting a long time that haven't really tried to learn the proper biomechanics. And shooting naturally is like an aggressive thing. We're pulling the trigger to, it was originally done to kill an animal, right? Or in our case, pulling the trigger to kill a target. And there's going to be this natural tension that builds as we get into that shot, as we pull the trigger. But if we can try to maintain balance and not let that tension build, we're going to be able to have more consistent moves on the targets and more consistent trigger pulls. And, you know, every top shooter out there, even shooters that their upper body is, say, leaned more forward than others, they're, you know, however far forward your upper body is leaned, that's how far back your lower body kind of needs to be angled, or your butt needs to be out, I should say. And so, you know, I used to shoot a lot more upright than I currently do, but I don't shoot like squatted either. I just feel like for me, I can stay more balanced when I've got a slight bend in my knees, about a 10% bend in my knees. And then from there, that allows you to utilize your lower body to make the right motions. And if we can use our lower body and it's a balanced, our whole body, it's kind of this chain reaction that goes into a smooth move with your hands. And then I'd say some of the other things that new shooters struggle with are maintaining hard focus on a target. I'd say, you know, people call for the target too quick. Like they won't let their eyes settle before they call for the target, and then the target jumps them, and then they move the gun too fast. Yeah. Or, you know, if you're naturally good at moving the gun at the same speed of the target, checking the bird and the barrel relationship will cause the barrel to stop. I mean, there's so many things that we could.
I was guilty of that one. I can tell you that right now.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then I'd say also, you know, when new shooters may try to be running a pre-shot routine, they'll maybe be running their pre-shot, but then they won't clear their mind and just let their body do it. They're still thinking while they're shooting. And, you know, if we're trying to consciously make a shot happen, we're not going to be as consistent as we could be if we've planned correctly and we're confident in that plan, and then clear your mind and just let it happen. And, you know, pre-shot's really important, but you need to do it in the right way. You know, a lot of people will say, well, you know, I just shoot better when I don't think about it. You know, and that's true. Like, we all shoot really good when we're not thinking, but in order to not think properly, we have to think enough to be confident and allow ourselves to do what our mind just told us to.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And going back to like that pre-shot, what I remember 3 years ago, I mean, that was not that long ago, but when I first, like my first lesson in sporting clays with Mr. Tim Miles, Gebben's dad, was like, he knew that we shot, my sister and I, we both shot. He knew that we shot skeet and trap and maybe like 100 rounds of sporting clays a year, and that was pretty much it. So like, I kind of just went in not really knowing what I was doing. You know, I see targets, and as a shooter that doesn't know how to shoot sporting clays, like they just see the targets and then they like assume general areas of maybe where they're going to break the target, where they see the target, where they're like starting their gun or whatever, but they don't have any plan. They don't have any process. So for me, my first like literally 7 to 10 lessons, I just worked on my pre-shot and having a plan and having spots that I was going to anchor everything on. And like, so I knew what I was going to do before I actually did it. So I knew what my break point was, the exact spot. I'd pick out things on the ground. I'd pick out mountains, you know, just simple but specific things for my break point. And then my hard focus, where I'm seeing the target really clear, and seeing detail, and then getting that whole point. Where am I starting the gun on every single target, right? To get the same plan for every single pair, every single target, just so it just creates consistency. And for a new sporting clay shooter, that was so big for me. It seems kind of simple, right? And like Gebben said, a lot of people are like, oh, well, if I think too much and then I don't do it. And what we have to do for having a plan is we need to think about all of our spots, but then after we have all of our plan, you have to just like let it happen. You can't dwell on it as you're shooting the target, right? Because then that becomes careful and no trust. So once you get all those spots and then you trust it, like that's what's going to help that shooter elevate their game.
You know, that's funny you say that, Karen, because I'll run my pre-shot routine and I'll get it down and I'll clear my mind and I'll shoot subconsciously, and I'm just start off wonderful. Just everything's flowing, everything's working the way it should be, and then I'll start dropping a couple of targets. Here comes the conscious mind again. I'm trying to think about every move, and then I just start going down a rabbit hole that I can't get back out of.
Right.
So that's
been there, done that.
Yes.
When you do that, though, like it's completely mindset, right? Like you might be having good moves, but you might just maybe misread a target. And you can't let those small misses affect you. Like this last weekend, I hit on some pretty hard stations. I ended up running because I was so detailed and just confident in like just looking at the target and accepting the results, whether I hit or miss, and on some softer stuff, I had a plan, but because they were soft and because I expected myself to hit them, I was a little bit more careful, and I did end up missing some that I probably shouldn't have, right? So that goes back to plan, getting back to process, but then accepting and trusting your plan and then just letting it happen. And the hits will come, right? Like you're definitely not going to start off by shooting hundreds straight. Like that doesn't even happen even with like the best of the best with Gebben and Zach and all the high names, so you can't have that high of an expectation, but you just work hard at it and continue to build that trust in your plan, and the hits will come. And that's what happened for me. I started off and getting all my spots, and I saw my scores go up a little bit, but I definitely wasn't shooting in the high 80s consistently. I'd get a high 80 every now and then, but my first couple years it was way lower, and I could have easily just like given up on the plan, say, oh well, this isn't helping me, it's too slow. But it took hard work and dedication and trust, and like this year I saw more results, and I definitely know that I can work even harder and continue to improve and start competing at an even higher level. But it all took that commitment to the plan.
Right. I told both of you when we were in Florida and I was talking to you, I could be a sponge off you two all day long. The amount of knowledge and wealth of knowledge that the two of you have is just amazing. And I seriously could sit and listen to you guys all night. This is awesome.
I appreciate that.
Well, listen, I know you guys have got a long drive ahead of you, and we don't want to keep you too long, but it's been absolutely wonderful having both of you on. I know Sean's looking forward to catching up with you guys at the Gator Cup. You can't miss him. I promise you that. He'll be the biggest guy out there shooting. So he makes Zach look like Little Debbie.
Yeah, I'm a Shrek. Just look for the guy that looks like Shrek, and that's me. So.
Well, you know what? I love Shrek, so Sean, hopefully I'll love you too.
There you go.
I look forward to meeting you guys in person.
Well, I tell you, this has been awesome. Karen, I remember when I shot with you and your dad, we've got some friends, and I actually have some family that live out there in Arizona, and they've been nagging me, but now you guys just gave me an even better excuse. So I think we're going to try and plan a family vacation here in the next year out there to Arizona, and I definitely want to come out and catch up with you guys. That sounds like it'd be a riot to see your new facility.
That would be great.
Well, listen.
Thank you guys so much, and
yes, thank you.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys, doing this. I mean, I think Behind the Break, when they first came out, was such a great avenue for the shooting community to learn from some of the top guys. More podcasts I think need to happen, and it's just really cool what you guys are doing, and I think it's going to be a way to grow the sport, but then also to just let the community or the community of shooters get to know each other a little bit better,
right.
Because not everybody can sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with everybody else. There's just too many people in this game. And so this is really cool. It kind of provides a way for, people to get to know each other and the community as a whole to get to know individuals a little better. And so we really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, we've just had so much help over the years from everybody. People like you watching videos, talking to other pros, talking to coaches, having coaches help us. I mean, this was just one of the ways that we thought we could possibly give back, especially to the newer shooter, the novice shooter that maybe hasn't taken the step yet to go and compete at the NSCA level. So this is what we're doing, and we're just trying to give back because we've definitely had our fair share of help along the way to get us to where we are now.
Well, that's awesome. I think that's really, really cool. And, one of the other things that I wanted to just kind of mention before we go is, most of the shooting tournaments that I go to, not all of them, but most of them I try to do like a shooter fellowship, I call it. And it's just a way that, if you're curious about, gathering is kind of like a Bible study almost, and talking about faith and whatnot. Karen and I both try to bring our faith into everything that we do, and that's kind of the most important part of our lives. And so, if you guys are at a shoot, or if somebody listening, you guys are at a shoot that I'm at, look for the Shooter Fellowship, and we'd love to have you. And
that's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the one we did last weekend was really cool. We had a guest who came and sang a little bit for us, and then there was a really cool conversation we had afterwards about a couple different topics. And so anyway, that's something that we try to do at most of the tournaments that we go to.
That's awesome, Gebben. I tell you, you and Karen are great mentors for people. I wish you both nothing but the best and success in what you guys are doing. If two people deserve it, it's you two.
Thank you so much.
Well, hey, listen, we're going to run, but you guys be safe. Stay in touch with us. Like I said, Sean's looking forward to meeting you guys down at the Gator Cup, and shoot straight.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Gebben. Thanks, Karen. Great talking to you guys.
Likewise.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Man, two really great people, aren't they, Sean?
Oh man, those guys are just the best, the absolute the best. They're so nice, they're so giving. I mean, you would almost think it's unreal that people can be that kind.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's some instructors out there, they don't want to tell you too much unless you're paying them.
Yeah.
And I think Gebben and Karen would give away the bank, if you just keep talking to her. And that's not my point, but my point is there's just so very nice people and generous.
Yeah.
They just want to help.
Well, and I think they also made a great point about the clubs, a word for the clubs listening out there, make your club inviting. You want new people, new blood into the club. You want to bring that youth shooter. You want to bring that female shooter into the fold, because the more people we have in the sport, the better the sport's going to be, and the greater it's going to be for everyone that's participating.
Absolutely. It's kind of funny, and we could almost build an entire show out of this, and I think we're going to save this for a really special guest that we got coming up here this winter. Excuse me. I think one of the things the sport needs is a title sponsor. If you look at NASCAR, they get Monster Energy. If you look at Supercross, it's Monster Energy Supercross. They have a title sponsor, and that's one thing that we don't have.
Yeah.
Let's not beat the energy drink companies up, but Coca-Cola, Budweiser, whatever.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things we're lacking. But until this sport gets out of its stagnant growth, you're not going to draw in those big sponsors. So I don't know. I just think we just need to keep working at it from a grassroots level like we are.
Yep.
And doing the best we can, and hopefully that'll come.
Well, yeah, and with growing the sport, the more people out there that are participating, that becomes more and more attractive to those sponsors. So again, the more people we bring in, the better the sport's going to be for everybody.
Right. Well, I know after I flapped my gums so much on the last episode, we ran really long, and I don't want to do that again on this one. I don't want to bore people, but Sean, one more time, about to give away 2 NSCA memberships.
Yep.
To someone that is not a past NSCA member, can't use it for renewal.
No, and you guys can go to our website. You can use the contact us button, email us, give us a quick rundown of what you like about the show, include your name, phone number, and address. And again, winners have to be non-registered shooters. You can't already be in the NSCA. It has to be for a new member. So if you know somebody that's thinking about getting into the NSCA and starting to shoot competitively, this is their segue into it. So give them a chance to reach out to us, and hopefully we can award these two memberships to somebody that's really deserving of them.
Absolutely. And a very special thank you to Chad Roberts and Breakpoint Shooting Instruction for helping us out with that.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Chad.
Yes. Well, let's wrap it up, but we have a special guest coming in studio this week. So that'll be coming out soon. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this guy.
He is a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
And we really enjoy talking to him every time we can.
Yep. For sure.
We're not going to tell who it is. We're just going to leave you hanging there, but you'll definitely find out soon enough.
That's right. You'll have to tune in to the Dead Pair podcast to find out.
Thank you, everybody.